So I've gone ahead and just done the same thing on the bottom of the hand, and that is to take this geometry, extrude it back. I've done the same thing down here and just connected it up on the side. So if you want to take a look at this, hand is by no means the only way that you can do topology on the hand. It's kind of a very low resolution look. You can see in some places I've gone ahead and connected this up in different ways so that this turns a corner here so that we can minimize this. So right now we have 11 sections around the hand, and we need to actually connect it up with something that is 8. And so how can we do this? Well, I'm going to go ahead and start to just kind of pull this back, and we want to start to get it closer and closer to that wrist sort of shape. And so we can kind of pull it back like this, use our scale to kind of clean it up as far as the position of it goes. If you want to extrude it, again, we can go ahead and double click, go ahead and extrude it out a little bit more to kind of get it closer. Okay, so what we can do here is we need to get rid of a few lines here. One of the ways we can do that is just to go ahead and take the line here and connect it up with this line. So basically eliminate those. So let's go ahead and do that. And what we can do is use the append to polygon tool. So go ahead and activate that. We'll click on one of the edges, and then you'll see all these pink arrows. We'll go ahead and click on this arrow down here and hit enter, and that's going to append that polygon. Then we can come in and kind of smooth that out a little bit. Bring that line back up and in. Come down and just sort of smooth out this so that the lines are a little bit more evenly spaced. Now we still have 9 here, so let's take a look at what happens when we add resolution to something that is smooth. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take the arm and let's go ahead and bring it back down. So I'm going to go ahead and just zero out the translation and the rotation. Let's go ahead and freeze the transformation so that that scale is baked in. Let's rotate it down. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and let's move it over so it's in the right spot here. Okay. So you can see that right here. We'll go ahead and take our hand and kind of move it up, get it a little bit closer. So we now need to sort of connect this up so we can start to grab these points and maybe scale them down a little bit. You know, we're building a very exaggerated looking hand, and so it's going to be a little bit larger. So we can start to increase that. Now, right now, our divisions here are 8. So you can see what this looks like as a smooth surface. Let's see what happens if we add a 9th line in here. Let's go ahead and add one. Let's actually take this back side and let's go ahead and bevel this. So we will go to Edit Mesh, Bevel. And so you can see here that it's actually flattened out the back of our arm. So if we see that, you can see the beveled here. We can go into Bevel and change the offset amount. If we make it very close together, and again we look at our smooth mesh, you'll be able to see sort of a crease here. So you need to be very aware of that when you're adding resolution to something you've already shaped, like this rounded, smooth arm, and you're going to be using a smoothing workflow, and you need to go back and add resolution. That's something to be aware of because you're going to start to add creases like that. Let's go ahead and increase that offset just a little bit. Now in some cases you can use this to your advantage because you want to maybe make the elbow a little bit harder. In other cases you can take those lines, and the more you spread them out, the more that you're going to be able to smooth that out. You may need to actually move it. But the idea is just to take these points, if they're very close together, and kind of spread them out across the surface. You can also go into your move tool, choose a normal for your move axis, and you can move it along the surface, which is a nice way to kind of spread these out and still keep a good resolution. Now adding one line to this arm is not going to really do too much. It's going to give us a little bit more of a squared off shape, but it's going to be just fine. So it all goes back to kind of how you want to actually do this. You can either add resolution or you can get rid of resolution. Now you can see I've lost my shaded mode here, so I'm just going to go to hyper shade, re-add that shading group. Okay, let me smooth, soften the normals. And you can see I've actually done a little bit of an extrude there. Let me go ahead and undo that. There we go. So now what we can do is to go ahead and start to connect this up. We'll do it the same way that we did the fingers. So we'll select both of these. You see one's smooth and one isn't. So we go ahead and combine them. You can see the smoothing turns off on both of those. Now we need to actually create the geometry that's going to bridge these together. So let's go ahead and just double click on here, double click here. Let's go up to bridge. We'll just choose a linear path, and let's right now choose 0 divisions. So we'll go ahead and bridge that. Now if the point doesn't match up with the point that you want, you can go into the bridge offset, and you can see as I middle mouse drag that offset, it's kind of twisting that around. So sometimes you can't go backwards. So for instance, if I wanted this one to connect here, I'd just go all the way around until it gets back. So then it would connect at that spot. And so you can just kind of figure out where the best connection is. I think that probably is the best. So go ahead and leave that as is. And now we can clean up that transition. So we can come in here, move some of these points around on the wrist, kind of flatten that out a little bit, bring that down. And so you can decide whether you want to add or take away rather more resolution here on the hand, or you want to add resolution on the arm. It's kind of a give and take. In some cases it's easy to add more resolution without affecting the shape. In some cases it's easy to remove resolution. So it just depends on your workflow. Now again, we do want to be able to bend the wrist, and so we want to make sure that we add some extra resolution here along the wrist so we can get some deformation there. I'm going to go ahead and add one right along there. If the arm's going to twist. Let's go ahead and take this arm and hand. You go ahead and delete the history, and let's smooth it out and see what that looks like. Okay, so we've got a little elbow here. We've got the forearm, the sort of top part of the arm connected down into our hand. Okay, we should have enough resolution to be able to deform this. Now if you want to, we've left the triangles. Sometimes you'll see where you've got these sort of kite shapes built in. To get that to be a quad, you would just have to delete that center line, okay, and then you get more of a quad shape in there. Okay, so now that we've got the arm and the hand built, let's go ahead and use the same box modeling techniques to build the torso of our character. So let's go ahead and do that next.